to be here and be able to do this live stream right now to bring on and celebrate the Accept Agency season. It also happens to be Mother's Day today. And as I've thought about, okay, if we're talking about the Accept Agency season and talking about Mother's Day, can those two things be one thing? And as I've pondered and meditated about that, and prayed about that, I actually feel like I see really clearly how this all fits together. So we're going to go in and figure this out. So happy Mother's Day. Happy Accept Agency season. It's a great time to be alive. Where I live, the weather is amazing right now. It's not too hot, not too cold. There's like a freshness in the air. I've been going outside a little more, and I've been visiting the waterfall by where I live and going and sitting like right up against the cliff close to the waterfall and meditating there and feeling the mist from the waterfall come up and hit me in the face while I meditate. And it's been really, really wonderful. I hope that you're loving life and having a great time as well. So I want to start with a meditation in order to help us feel prepared and ready for what we're doing right now. So I invite you to close your eyes with me. And breathe. Become aware of the space inside your body. Smile and rejoice that it's the time of the year that it is. Rejoice that you have the opportunity now during this 28-day season to accept agency, to feel free to make all kinds of choices, to feel free to do things that you maybe didn't feel free to do before. To let go of or even break away boundaries that seem to inhibit your agency. Give yourself permission to make whatever choices you want to make. And trust that you have the wisdom to make the choices that are best for you and for other people. Trust and feel gratitude that during this session, during this time we have together on this live stream, you'll learn and realize whatever it is that's best for you to learn and realize. Go ahead and slowly open your eyes and smile and be with me here. Now it's Mother's Day, and one connection I see between Mother's Day and accepting agency has to do with the idea of Mother Eve. We have this story that I'm familiar with this story from the Bible, but I know that there are other traditions that have a similar story. I know that Islam has a similar story, is what I understand, and there may be others as well. Even the story, to some degree, even the story of Pandora in Greek mythology is connected and has some similarities with the story of Mother Eve. But the story of Mother Eve, I think, is a story that really illustrates accepting agency, and it's a great way to, it's a great segue with Mother's Day, right? Celebrating the original mother. And so imagine with me Eve living in the Garden of Eden, and she's there and she is having all sorts of wonderful experiences there. She is the mother of all living. She, from Eve is somehow, or sorry, from Eve from Eden. My intuition tells me that Eve from Eden is somehow governing the earth from there. And she has a lot going for her, right? She doesn't deal with disease and death and hardship the way that you and I are used to in our current existence. And as she's there having the experience that she has in Eden, she has a choice. She can stay in that state, or she can partake of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil and change to the sort of state that you and I are used to. And her choice is going to have bigger implications than just for her, right? Her choice is going to affect anyone born from her as well. And her choice affects her partner, Adam. And we all have choices like this all the time. We get to points in our life where we say, do I want to keep doing this the way I've been doing it? Or do I want to make a choice to have a different kind of experience? And that choice is going to have big implications. Sometimes the choice, there's no going back, like with Eve. And sometimes the choice is going to affect a lot of other people, particularly the people closest to us. Just last night, I, as an example of this, where I live last night, there was a chance of seeing an aurora. On Friday night, 2 nights ago, there was people where I live in Oregon saw the aurora all over the place. People in my town posted on Facebook pictures of it. And I was somehow completely out of the loop, and I didn't know that was an option. So Friday night, I was in my house. I was not outside. I did not notice this aurora was happening. I went to sleep, and the next morning found out what I'd missed. And I was feeling like a lot of FOMO. I really, really wish that I could have seen that aurora. And so Saturday night, I made the choice to stay up late and holding out, hoping to see it. And I didn't. I stayed up till about 1 a.m, looking out the window, and I don't know maybe I was looking the wrong direction. I don't know. I just never saw it on Saturday night. And in my mind, I was thinking, well, I'm just making a choice for me, right? I'm choosing to stay up late, and that just affects me. And so I can do what I want. And in the end, my choice didn't really give me the result I was hoping for. It just meant that I was really tired. And the next morning, I didn't want to feel like a cruddy today, so I chose to sleep in. And that choice ended up, and then as the day went on, as the morning proceeded, I began to register that I had not seen things clearly, and that my choice affected more than just me. my choice affected my family, because by staying up late and then waking up late, everything in our household was getting going later. And that led to some stress and tension. And I think it's really important that we remember this, that our choices have impacts on our lives and impact other people's lives. It's important to be really thoughtful about that. According to the story, if Mother Eve partook of the fruit, then everyone, not just her, everyone would live in this state of disease and death and crumminess and hard work and things like that, right? And that was a big choice to make. I'd also say, though, that choosing just what seems like the easy route isn't necessarily what's best. In Eve's story, if she had stayed where she was, then everything would be awesome, right? She wouldn't have to work very hard. She wouldn't have to worry about disease and death. Food would just come forth spontaneously. That all sounds awesome, but she wouldn't have anything to compare that with, right? Like right now, I'm loving the weather that I'm enjoying right now. But part of why I'm loving it is because, throughout the whole winter, just before now, things were really cold. And now things are getting really idyllic, and I can enjoy the idyllic state and appreciate it so much because I put up with the cold for so long. And so by choosing to thrust herself and her partner and her children into this existence where there's all this crummy stuff, she created a space in which people could appreciate sweetness because they knew bitterness, could appreciate joy and forgiveness and relief because they knew sorrow and anger and turmoil and stress. And so I think on Mother's Day, we can honor Mother Eve by considering her example of making choices that affect her and others, and being okay with making a hard choice. I think that's really important. Right now I'm trying to work out a lot, and I'm trying to exercise more and take care of my body better. And the choice to go lift weights, like it's a choice. In some ways, it's kind of like a choice to be miserable, right? Like I'm going to go and put stress on my body that my body isn't going to like very much. And then when I hit the limit where I'm like, I don't think I can do any more, I'm going to keep doing a little more, and my body's going to feel uncomfortable. The choices that we can make that sometimes are best for ourselves and others are not necessarily the choices that feel the most comfortable. By choosing to lift weights, I choose to get my body in a new state where I'm going to live longer and healthier, which is a blessing to my family. I'm going to be able to serve other people more. Like if someone needs something heavy moved, I'm going to be able to participate in that better. I'm going to be more healthy and fit and more able to do good in the world because I chose a path that doesn't necessarily sound very exciting at that time, right? I chose to face some uncomfortableness as a gift to my future self and other people too. And so what seems like the path of least resistance might not necessarily be the choice that most fulfills unity. And so I ask you at this time during this season, what kind of choices do you want to make? What kind of new habits do you want to try out? What new routines? What kind of choices do you want to make that are going to make your relationships go differently? In some ways, it's easier just to let the relationships go the way they are, right? Even if your relationships maybe aren't ideal, right? Maybe you think, oh, I wish this relationship were better. At least it's predictable right now, right? The easy choice is to just keep letting it be, keep letting the relationship suffer and keep enjoying complaining about it, and just experience the safety of things staying the same. That's a choice that you're free to make. And that choice has its reward. The reward or benefit of that choice is that you don't have to stretch yourself and be uncomfortable trying to change something. That is a benefit that's worth considering. Another choice is to leave your comfort zone to try something different in the relationship and take a risk, because you might try it and it might go badly. It might not work. And so that choice comes with some risk that is challenging. And the person you try to make things better with might not respond well, and they might hurt you. And that's a risk. And so I'm not telling you what to do. I'm inviting you to in each situation, weigh the pros and cons. Say, what do I want? With my relationships, do I want the benefit of the safety and predictability of things staying the same? Or do I want to take a risk, maybe improve things, but take the risk of it not working? Even if it does work, it still might be uncomfortable on the way. And do I want to deal with that discomfort? That's the thing to weigh. And decide what you want. Decide what you want and then go for it. Eve is a great example of making choices and taking a risk. She chose to leave a very safe place and go to a risky place. She sacrificed her safety and security to go to a place a lot more risky because she felt like the reward of that was something that was desirable to her. What I'd like to do now is scratch my eye, because my eye itches. All right, I'm done scratching my eye. And now what I would like to do is I appreciate Will Dill for saying in the commenting that that's a hard choice. It is. And I want to just wrap this up now with a meditation. And the meditation will just build off of what we just did, and we'll bring things to a close unless someone has a specific question they'd like answer at that point. So I invite you to close your eyes with me. And breathe. With each breath, let yourself sink down. The sensation of just blissfully surrendering and falling through space in a controlled and pleasant way. Just let go and you fall. You fall deep into a meditative state, a spiritual state, a state of heightened consciousness. And from here, you look back and you see a timeline that you realize you're standing on a timeline, and the timeline comes up to where you are. And on the timeline, you see different choices you've made. particularly choices related to different relationships in your life. And you see how you and your relationships are where you are now because of a bunch of choices that you and other people made. And you look where you are now and you realize that in some ways you feel a little stuck. You realize that the different choices you made up to this point seem to have kind of painted you into a corner. Like you feel a little stuck right where you are because the choices got you to a certain place and you don't know how you could go anywhere else from here. And that's really understandable. And you look down at the very spot in the timeline where you're standing, and you see the spot where you're standing glows bright gold. This is the present moment. The present moment is the product of all the choices you made up to this point. It's the culmination of all those choices, all the choices of the past. Hone in on the present moment and become the present moment. And you look forward on the timeline and you see that all the choices of the future come from the present moment. And you become very aware of the reality that the choices of the past got you here, but they don't have the power of this moment. And the choices of the future look amazing and full of opportunities and full of hope, and they're limitless, but that they're not choices you make now. The choice you make now is where you're standing now, the present moment. And you become so aware of how sacred the present moment is because of that. You feel so much gratitude for this present moment. You feel the spot in which you're standing that glows with golden light. You feel that light going all through your body and through your sinews and into your breath, empowering you to be in the present moment and make the choices you want to make here. And as you look down the different forking timelines of the future, you have a sense of confidence that you can make the choice now that gets you down the timeline you want to be on, to be where you want to be. And you see so clearly that there is definitely and truly the opportunity to end up wherever you want. You are not trapped by the choices of the past. From the present moment, you can get anywhere you want to get to. And you see that that's going to happen gradually. Lots of different choices got you to where you are now, and a whole bunch of different choices are going to get to where you want to be. But only one, there's going to be a bunch of choices to make between now and the timeline you want to be on, the result you want for yourself. And right now, you can make certain choices in this moment to set yourself up for a bunch of other little choices in the future. This is so apparent to you. So look inside yourself and ask yourself, do I have the strength to make the choice I want to make in the present moment? And look in your body and ask yourself that question and see what your body answers. And you become aware of a vial of liquid. And the liquid is full of courage, which is the ability to make a choice, to do something risky and follow through with it, even though you're scared. It's not the absence of fear, but the power to act in spite of fear. And it takes vulnerability. Anyone who uses courage is vulnerable because they're choosing to do something that might fail. And so you see that this vial is full of a special elixir that is courage, which means it is vulnerability and risk-taking. And you drink the vial, and you're filled with the qualities and spirit of Mother Eve. And you know that you can honor her legacy by making a hard choice, a risky choice like she did. And you look out at the field of choices before you, and you see one branching path that's marked in gold. And you realize that this is the path that gets the results that you're wanting and that fulfill your yearning. And you can see along the path so clearly, and it's so clearly what choice to make in the next step that gets you there. And notice it. Take that next step and notice what that choice is that you can make in the present moment that gets you to where you want to be. Notice it and name it so that you can do it today. Be aware of yourself making that choice today. And let yourself just be lost in that awareness and fully embody it. And it's like a trap door opens underneath you and you just fall. And when you fall, you land in a safety net. And you are very aware that making these choices, making a risky choice is like free falling, but there is a safety net that catches you, which is grace. God has built the whole universe in such a way that there is always a safety net to catch you. Safety net of grace, paid for by Christ. You look up on your safety net and you see that you have a little tiny boo-boo on your hand, and it gets bandaged up, and it's going to be just fine. And you look up for your safety net with your bandage, knowing that you're going to be just fine. And you see a tall mountain. And the mountain is desirable to climb. It will be challenging, and it will be a challenge that you will enjoy. And when you get to the top of that mountain, you'll be so glad to be there. And up the mountain are a bunch of forking paths that are all different choices you'll make to get up that mountain. And you have the distinct sense that even though climbing the mountain is strenuous, it takes effort to climb the mountain. You have this distinct sense that climbing the mountain is actually the easy and simple path. Because on the bottom of the mountain are a whole bunch of people who are fighting each other. They're punching each other, yelling at each other, they're pushing each other around. They're in just constant conflict. But the mountain rises above that. And so even though the mountain is a challenge to climb, in so many ways, it's easier to do the challenge of climbing that mountain and getting to high ground than it is to stay in the bottom of the mountain where people are just constantly fighting and hurting one another. That is the world of the ego. The world where people dwell in selfishness and survival mode and trauma. So decide now if you want to climb the mountain and ascend, or if you want to stay among the ego and violence at the bottom of the mountain. And it's your choice. Both are challenging and they're in a different kind of way. And you can pick which kind of challenge you want to deal with in your life. And so gradually open your eyes. Let the state of this meditation merge with your normal everyday waking consciousness. And I thank you for spending this time with me. And I wish you the best this season. I wish you the best in feeling empowered that you can make the choices you want for yourself, and feeling that you have the wisdom to make the choices that get you the results that you want for yourself. Enjoy your best self this season and every season. Goodbye.